In this video, I'll show you how to install a strut brace on an F-Series BMW. Let's go. What's up everyone? I'm Steve and you're watching F33. Now if you like this video, give a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss when a new video drops. Now being a convertible, the F33 has a less rigid chassis than other F-Series models. And BMW tried to mitigate some of that flex by adding a few extra braces to the F33. Now the job of any front strut tower brace is to reduce flex and help the car remain planted in turns. And for a convertible, it's even more important. And let's be honest, it also adds a little extra bling to the engine bay. Now in general, this is probably one of the easiest ways to improve the handling of your car. Now there's a few different designs of strut tower braces out there for the F-Series, but they're mostly kind of plain. I'm the type of person that if I'm going to put something on the car, it's got to meet both form and function. I don't want to just stick some bunch of boring parts on just because it might perform slightly better. If I'm putting a mod on the car that is visible, I want it to also look good. Now, after looking at a bunch of strut braces on the market, I found myself constantly coming back to the one from Autotecknic. Now, I really like the design of this strut brace because it stands out in a sea of plain Jane tubular braces with its wide, flat design and angular cutouts. And I also like that it's black and not chrome. It doesn't look like anything else on the market. Now, this strut brace is compatible with both the 3 and 4 series on the F chassis and will fit both pre-LCI and LCI models. Now, being made out of aluminum, it's also really light. Now, it's not as light as carbon fiber, but it's also way cheaper. And honestly, I think it kind of looks better in terms of its design than some of the carbon braces I've seen. All right, so I'm really excited to see how this transforms the way the car handles and steers around turns. So why don't we head out to the garage and get this installed? The tools needed for this install are a 6mm Allen, 12mm open-ended wrench, a 13 or 16mm socket, and a torque wrench. The difficulty for this install is easy. All right, so the strut brace is going to look something like this. That looks really, really cool. The way this is going to work is for the pre-LCI, you've got 2 bolts here and here and a little nub. If you have an LCI, you're going to have another bolt that's going to be right here. This is a pre-LCI, so I've only got 2 bolts. The first thing I need to do is actually loosen the bolts on the brace. That's going to give me a lot more flexibility. To loosen these, you'll need a 12mm open wrench and a 6mm Allen. We're just going to loosen these a little bit. No need to take them all the way out. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. That's going to give us flexibility to move this around just a little bit. The next thing that you'll want to do is remove these 2 bolts on each side. Mine are 16mm, but you may have 13mm bolts. I'm not sure if it's the fact that it's an F33 or if it's a pre-LCI that determines the bolts. I've seen it both ways. Before you start the install, make sure that your car is on a flat surface so that the car is level. Now it's time to fit the strut brace. Those little pegs that are on the strut towers are going to help line this up. I have a wire loom here that's kind of in the way, but it just pushes down and doesn't interfere at all. Make sure to thread these bolts in by hand so that they don't get cross-threaded. Then just snug them up before torquing them down. All right, so now they need to be torqued down. Since I have the 16mm bolts, I'm going to be torquing them down to 56 Newton meters plus 90 degrees. If you've got 13mm bolts, your torque spec is 30 Newton meters plus 90 degrees. All right, so now that we have the strut towers mounted, we can tighten up the bolts in the middle and we'll be done. I've got to say, this looks amazing. I love the cutouts in here. I love that it's stealth black. I love that it's a little thicker. And this thing is all aluminum, so it's not like it's a big chunky piece of steel that weighs a ton. This is aluminum, so it's really light. But I think this looks really good. I just love the design, and on top of it making the engine bay look better, it's also going to drive better. I'm going to put a link in the description below to a video by Engineering Explained where he talks about the benefits of a strut tower brace, how it affects different types of struts, and just the overall way that this works and relieves pressure and stiffens the body. Now, this should hopefully make the car handle better. I mean, as an F33, we already have a couple strut braces at the top right here that are going to help, and we've got the one underneath, but this should provide even better handling. Now, as you saw, adding a strut brace is really easy and only takes a few minutes to complete. I installed this just before the Keys Auto Show because I wanted to get a good feeling for how this mod delivers and improves on the handling, and I figured a 900-mile road trip is gonna make a good test. Now, let me just say that this mod delivered. I could really feel the difference with how much stiffer the handling was with this brace installed. I even removed it when I got back to see if it was maybe a placebo effect, and instantly I could tell that it wasn't there. Without the brace, the handling felt a little sloppier. I don't really know how to describe it except that it didn't feel as stiff, and the car had a little bit more body roll in the corners. Now, one thing I wanted to make sure was clear was the bolt size and torque spec. Now, there are two possible sizes for the strut bolts, and both have different torque specs. My F33 uses a 16mm bolt and should be torqued down to 56 Newton meters plus 90 degrees. Now, if your car has a 13mm bolt, it should be torqued down to 30 Newton meters plus 90 degrees. All of the steps are going to be the same though. Now, as always, I have put links in the description below to all the products and tools needed for this install. And if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that like button, smash it if that's what you're into, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you on the next one. God bless.